അല്ലല്ലല്ല, ചേട്ടനൊരു കാര്യം ചെയ്താൽ മതി. അല്ലല്ല, അതുകൊണ്ട് യു പി ഐ ഡിയും പറയുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ, യു പി ഐ ഡിയും കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ, യു പി ഐ ഡി അടിച്ചാൽ മതി. ആ യു പി ഐ ഡി വേണ്ട, യു പി ഐ ഡി നേരെ അടിച്ചാൽ മതി. ജിപേയിലോട്ട് കയറുക, യു പി ഐ ഡി അടിക്കുക, എന്നിട്ട് നേരെ കൊടുക്കുക, അടിച്ചാൽ ആളുടെ പേര് വരും. ആ പറ്റും, അതുകൊണ്ടല്ലേ യു പി ഐ ഡി കൊണ്ട് കൊടുക്കുന്നത്. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചേട്ടന് യു പി ഐ ഇല്ല. ചേട്ടൻ
Good morning. Okay. Before proceeding, good morning, Patti. Before proceeding with the today's session, do you guys any you need any clarification or do you have any doubts?
No.
No.
Okay. 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 So let me share my screen. It's visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So in the previous session, we have learned like the service, different types of service models and different types of cloud deployment model, right? So in today's sessions, we will see the core services. In Azure, they have categorized the resource into three groups. Compute, storage, and network. So these are the three categories. So we will see what are the services comes under compute. If you want to store some data or files, which comes under storage service, and networking related resources, those resources comes under networking service. So in Azure, we have three category. Each resource or each service comes under any one of this category, either compute, storage, and networking. So in AZ900, we will see the high level details of these services. Yeah, so basically in Azure, it groups the service into three core categories. Compute. What is compute? So if you want to run any application, we need some services, right? For example, Azure App Service. Using App Service, we can run our applications. Or if you buy any VM, so inside the VM also you can deploy your application. That is also a compute service. Then we have another example, Azure Functions. That is also one of the service which is used to run some block of code, not the full application, a block of code. So that is compute. Compute means run the applications. There are some of the services which is used to run our applications. Those types of resources or services, we call it as a compute service. Storage, by seeing the name itself, we can able to understand why we need the service. Basically, if in every application we need to store some of the data, whether it is a file or some logs or some images, videos, we need we need some service to store our data. So in Azure, we have a lot of services to store the data. All those services comes under storage services. Networking, actually networking, without networking, we cannot communicate any of the service or any of the applications. Nothing can be done without networking. So we have in Azure, we have virtual network. There are a lot of networking services available. Those services comes under networking category. So whatever I have explained, I mentioned here. So compute means processing power to run your application. What you can compute, what can compute do? What can compute service do? It can run the application. If you have a backend using compute, we can run the backend API. If you are if you have some background process, that is also possible using compute services. Even we can host the websites into compute services. So these are the examples. Virtual machine, that is a full server. App service, this is the service. Using the service, we can run the web apps. We will not get the full server, but it gives a platform to run my application. Azure Functions, it's a run code on demand. So in later lesson, when it comes into all these services, we will learn in deep in AZ204. AZ204, it's a what are the topics comes under developers that will come that will covers under AZ204. In AZ104, admin related topics will be there. In AZ400, we will see how we can create a pipeline, and how using the pipeline, how we can deploy into these services. So here we are seeing only the high level details of the services. Then this is the second category, that is storage services. A storage is nothing but the place to save our data. So these are the types of data, like we can save files, images, videos, backups, database files. So any type of data we can save inside the Azure storage services. Basically, in Azure, we have one service called storage account. Inside the storage account, we have 4 different entities, or 4 different objects will be there. That is blob storage, file storage, disk storage, and Q1 table. Okay, so based on the scenario, we need to choose the correct entity. So blob storage is for to store the unstructured data. What is unstructured data? Like if you want to save the images or videos, then we can go with the blob storage. File storage, it's nothing but for example, if you are working in one project, for example, Walmart project. So in one Walmart account, we have a multiple projects. So one project will generate the file, another project will read the file. So in that scenario, we need to create some shared folder, right? Network shared path. So in those types of use cases, we need to use file storage and disk storage. This is for VM disk. If you are creating a VM, and if you want to map some VM disk, then we need to create a disk storage. And Q1 table, as of now, you need only the basic information, but I will give you the high level details. So in an enterprise applications, nowadays we are not we will not create a one big application. Instead we will split the application into small services. That is what we call it as a microservices. So if you create a application, using microservice architecture, you need to communicate from one service to another service. In that case, we need queue. Okay. Table, uh, uh, 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay. Table is nothing but inside the table we can store some of the details. For that purpose, we will use tables. Yeah, again I'm saying this. Again I'm saying like these are the high level details. We are learning only the Azure fundamentals. That is why I'm giving the high level details. So example, if you want to store any user photos, we can go with the storage service. If you want to store logs, or if you normally for every application, we will take some backups of the files. For that purpose also, we can use storage service. Then Azure networking service. So Azure networking service, like networking is nothing but the communication between the resources. How we communicate, whether we can communicate without any restriction of, or if you want to apply some restrictions, or if you want to create some policies, everything happens inside this networking services itself. So what does networking provide? It provides connectivity, security, and traffic management. So everything we can configure in network services. So these are some example Azure services or Azure resources which comes under networking services. That is virtual network, then subnet, a load balancer, VPN gateway, firewalls. Everything falls under networking services. So normally in an application, so web apps needs to talk to the database to fetch the data or update some records into the database. We need some connectivity. Then user access website securely. So inside the network only, we will create some policies or rules, so that user access their portal in secure manner. So networking is nothing but communication plus security. So you need to understand this. Compute is nothing but runs the application. Storage is to store our data. Network connects everything. So this is a miniature. So VM belongs to which category? Virtual machine. Can anyone answer? So virtual machine is nothing but the server, the whole server.
Compute.
So, sorry? Compute, correct. Yeah. Blob storage. By seeing this itself, we know this comes under that storage. And VNet. This is virtual network. Belongs to network category. Yeah. So in this lesson, like I will explain what is app service or what is virtual machine in high level. So as I mentioned earlier, like computer is nothing but the service to run our code or application. So as part of AZ 900, we need to know what does Azure Virtual Machine and what does Azure App Service and Azure Functions or Function App. We need to know these three services. Okay. So a virtual machine is nothing but a full the server in the cloud. We are buying the virtual server. Instead of buying a physical server, we are buying a server in the cloud. So when you create a virtual machine, we can choose the operating system, the CPU, RAM, everything. Every all these are like options only. We just need to select the options. So whatever you have selected, when you create the virtual machine using that configuration, it will create a server but virtually, and once created using the RDP, we can connect the virtual machine. So when you buy virtual machine, we need to manage operating system, uh, patching, and installed software. If you want to install any of the any of the software inside the virtual machine, we can we have the access. So that we need to manage all those softwares. What Azure manages? Physical hardware, data center, and power and cooling. So all these things are handled by Azure, Microsoft Azure itself. So when to use? We need to know like when to use VM and when to use App Service and when to use Azure Function. Suppose um, in older days or before before cloud, all the applications deployed into some physical server, right? Uh, like later they have changed or migrated from legacy to cloud applications. So some of the companies still they use the legacy application, not a modernized application, but they need to migrate into cloud related environment. In that scenario, they have a dependencies with the like they have some background process. They have created some task scheduler. In that scenario, we need full server. Or if they are using some custom software, like they are consuming the third party web services inside their application, they need to install all those things inside server only. In all those scenarios, they need to buy a virtual machine. So inside the virtual machine, they need to they can create a task scheduler. They can install the custom applications, and from the application they will consume the third party services. So in that scenario, they need to buy full virtual machine instead of buying the app service. Why? In app service, we are getting only the platform to run the application. We will not manage the infra. We will get only the platform to run the application in app service. But in VM, we will get all the infra itself we are buying. So we can do anything inside the VM. In that scenario, we need to go with the virtual machine only. So legacy application and full control required. Then custom software. So in the if you get these types of use cases, then we need to go with the virtual machine. So most control and most responsibility will be there. Then the second service is Azure App Service. What is Azure App Service? So, When you need app service, like you want to run your application, but manage you will not manage the server, but you need only some platform which helps you to run your application. In that scenario, we need to go with the app service. So in app service, we are just like think like this. You are just mapping your application code Azure runs it. So we are not managing any OS operating system management, no server batching, nothing will be there. We need to upload only our application code. Everything handled by Azure itself. So when to use app service? If you want to host the web application, REST API, or faster development, no infra dependency there, then we can go with the app service. So let's control and let's take. Then third one is Azure function. What is Azure function?
Well, I have one doubt here.
Yeah, yes.
This app service comes under which category?
App?
Yes, basically core services are only three, right? Compute, storage, and networking. This app
Correct,
service
correct.
comes under which category?
Compute category. So now we are in this topic. In Azure Compute Services, we have Azure Virtual Machine, Azure App Service, and Azure Function. So these all are compute service. But when you see the service model, cloud service model, VM comes under IaaS because we are buying infrastructure also. App service comes under PaaS because it provides only the platform to run the application. So this is cloud service model, but now we are talking about core services. So in core services, we have three different categories. So in compute, we will get virtual machine, Azure function, and apps.
Basically, these services which will common for a global actually cloud service model, right? Basically infra and then platform and software, which will cover all three, right?
Yeah. All three. Correct. Because if you are creating one application, we need all the services. So in Azure, we will have all the resources. Compute resources will be there, storage resources will be there, and network resources will be there. So globally, we can in Azure we can create any type of services. Okay.
See, ideally, if a person wanted to develop any software or anything, actually we have to use all these service-based models, basically, right? Infra,
Correct. Yeah.
correct? So we can't ignore any models.
Correct. Your understanding is correct. We need to use any one of the services. Okay. Then Azure Function or Function App, both are same. Azure Function and Function App. So if you want to run only a piece of code, not the entire application, but if you want to run only a piece of code, for example, some background process, or if you want to sync some data from one database to another database, or moving the file from one place to another place, normally we will have a small piece of code, right? In that case, instead of creating an app service or virtual machine, we can go with the Azure function. Why Azure function? It runs only the event triggered. So this Azure function will not have any dedicated server. So if you set some frequency, like for example, if you schedule a function to run every day at 9 a.m. At 9 a.m. only, it will start working. After the work completed, it will not generate any cost, because in Azure function we will not get any dedicated server. The cost generated based on the usage only. Like whenever the function app runs, the cost generated based on that time only. In that scenario, we need to use Azure function. So in Azure function, we have number of we have a number of types, like HTTP trigger, timer trigger, queue trigger. There are a lot of triggers available. So based on the scenario, we need to choose the correct type. We will learn all those types, everything in a later part. Okay. So in Azure function, we will manage only the code logic, only the small piece of code. One minute. So what Azure manages, like everything else managed by Azure. So when to use Azure function? So in like in microservices architecture, in most of the case, like 99.9%, they will use Azure functions, because based on some event, only, event is nothing but, for example, in Amazon, they have created the application using microservice architecture. For order, they created an order project. Uh, to manage inventory, they created a separate project that comes under sorry. They created a separate project called inventory service. So whenever the user buys something, they need to send some messages to the inventory service that the user is purchasing this product. The product ID is this. You need to update the product count. So they need to send some message. Based on the message from the inventory service, they need to update the count, right? So this is called the event. Whenever order happened, I need to send some message to another service. That is what we call it as a event driven architecture. In most of the event driven architecture, they will use this Azure function. And also for background process, we can use Azure function. And the automation purpose also, we can use Azure functions. The important one is pay only when code runs. When the Azure function we call it as a serverless function, because the function app, when you create the function app, it will not get assigned inside any of the dedicated server. Whenever needed, it will use one server. Once the logic execution completed, it will free the server. That is why we pay only when the code runs.
Yeah, I have one doubt here. See, for example, I have one patch file. It supports it actually it's backend it's require Java or .NET example. So for example, for executing that patch file, if I need a Java or .NET, that will be taken care by Azure, or we need to do something which we have to ask for that particular service to be executed on this system.
You mean to say like, do you need to select the language or anything?
Correct. So basically, the
Ah.
patch file, if the patch function has to run, that means the backend application is Java I require. So Java, the patch will be automatically enabled, or we need to request while creating this patch, the function.
So using like using the language, we will create the Azure function. Either it is a .NET or Java. For example, in Visual Studio, we will get a separate template. In the template called Azure Functions. Inside the Azure Functions, we will write all our logic parts, all our implementations. In your case, the patching code will be there. So you need to deploy your Azure function into the our environment, cloud environment. So automatically it will taken care of, all those things taken care by Azure itself. But the implementation we used to write inside our like any of the program using any of the programming language.
Thank you.
And also we can create a schedule. So based on the schedule, our function will get executed based on the frequency or. So this is the comparison. So we talk about VM app service and Azure functions. In VM, the server management we need to handle, but app service and Azure function, Azure will handle the server part. And OS control, in VM we need to manage OS control, but app service we will not handle this thing. Scaling in virtual machine, it is manual, but app service and Azure function, it is automatic, but we need to configure it. If you want to we will see what is auto scaling and everything in later lesson, but even though it is here I am saying auto, but we need to opt the feature, because everything related to cost. So if you buy the premium or standard app service, then we can use this features, auto scale. And pricing always on. Why? Because we purchase the infra itself, we purchase the virtual server. So the pricing always on, because we will inside the VM we will map some disk, and we will we will rent the storage. For all those things, we need to pay. App service, it's app based. App based is nothing but we have a different pricing tiers will be there. So based on the pricing tiers and the features we are opting, the cost will get calculated. Azure function, it is per executions. Whenever you are executing the Azure function, it will generate cost. Otherwise, it will not generate. So if you see the model, VM comes under infrastructure as a service. App service comes under platform as a service, and Azure function, it is a serverless, because in Azure function we will not get any dedicated server. Whenever it needed, it uses one server. After the usage, it will free the server. That is why we call it as a serverless function.
I have a doubt. So,
Yes, Rahul. Yeah.
so Azure function comes under serverless. So SaaS is different from serverless, right?
SaaS is different from serverless. SaaS is nothing but it's a software. We are using
Okay.
the software.
Okay.
Yeah. So VM, I manage operating system. In app service, I manage application. Function, I manage only the code. So these are the one line memory. And let's go. Which compute service gives full OS control?
VM.
VM.
Yeah. Which services serverless
Azure function.
functions? Yeah. Which service is best for web apps without managing a server? But I need to run my web application.
App service.
App service.
Yeah, correct.
Service.
Yes. Yeah, so before going to this topic, 6A and 7A, we will cover this one. Storage and storage. These part 7, 8, 9 we will cover. After that, we will go with the 6A. Because we are seeing the compute service, different types of compute service. That is why I'm going with this flow. So we know Azure storage is nothing but like the service used to store the data, but in the cloud. The data can be files, images, videos, backups, and disk formats. So Azure storage is highly durable, scalable, and secure. So how we are secure? Like why I am calling it as a scalable, secure. So everything comes in little lesson, but in a high level, Azure storage is highly durable, scalable, secure. So these are the types of Azure storage. So we
Scalable
have
means
so if so now your data size is only like 2 GB or 3 GB. In later point, like if the application used by a lot of users, they need to upload their files or they need to upload their photos or something, right? In that case, the Azure storage will automatically scale to higher storage space. That is why scalable. Automatically,
okay.
it scales
Hmm.
the storage capacity.
Okay. Right.
For AZ 900, we need to remember only these types: blob storage, file storage, and disk storage. So apart from these, we have tables and queues. But as part of AZ 900, we are going with this types: blob, file, and disk. Blob. Let me open portal. So we have a service called storage account. So if you see the service name is storage account. Okay. So I have created one storage account. This is the existing one. I already created one storage account. I'm just uh, open that existing storage account here. If I click storage browser, here you can see these things: blob container, file share, queue, and tables. So blob is one type, file is another type, queue is another type, and table is another type. So these are the four types. Whenever you create the storage account, you will get all the four entities. So based on the scenario, if you want to upload any files or from the application, from the application you will the connectivity establishment, everything we need to take care of from the application. Suppose from the application implementation part, we will write a code. Like whenever the user uploads the file, the files needs to upload into this storage account. So all the coding part we need to handle inside the application code. But this is the structure. Inside storage account, we have four different entities: blob, file share, queue, and table. So this is the Azure Blob Storage. When to use Azure Blob Storage? If you want to store unstructured data. What is unstructured data? So if you want to upload any images or videos or any PDF files or logs, we will not have any structured like table kind of structured or JSON or no structures will be there, right? So in that scenario, we need to go with the Azure Blob Storage. Example, if you want to store your website images, or if the user uploads some files, or even if you want to take some backups, then we can go with the blob storage. So key points. So if you upload some files, that particular file can accessed via URL and very scalable and low cost. Then file storage. 1 minute, 1 minute. So as I mentioned, so if you want to use some shared path, in most of the scenario, more than one project uses the same path. One creates a file, other consume that file. In that scenario, we need to maintain one shared file path. In that cases, we need to create the file storage. So files shares in the cloud, shared network drive. So in that scenario, we can go with the Azure file share document and lift and shift apps. Lift and shift apps means like, for example, uh, you you know like SSIS or developers knows those things like SSIS, the data flow, like right, they will create a flow kind of things. So inside the flow, they in one step they will one task they will fetch the data from database. In another task they will create the file, and in another task they will save the file inside some folder, like folder path. Suppose if they are migrating the SSIS package into Azure Data Factory, I'm giving you the idea like why the lift and shift. Here I am mentioning the lift and shift apps. That is why I'm giving you the high level example. So in legacy application, they have a SSIS package. They need to migrate the SSIS package into cloud-based application. In that scenario, they need to use one service that is called Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory is nothing but a cloud service of SSIS. So in legacy, they used the folder path, like normal folder path. But instead of this normal file uh, uh, files and folders, they need to use the cloud cloud file share. So once they migrated, they just need to change the path from like from C drive, C drive and some folders, and inside the folders we refer some files. Instead of that one, we need to just change the configuration to the Azure file share. That is why I am mentioning the lift and shift apps. In that scenario also, we need to use file share and file server replacement. What is file server replacement? In legacy, if I am using the server folders, on-premise server folders, but I am migrating the application to cloud related, cloud environment, then I will create the file share, and wherever I am referring the server path, I will change it to cloud file share. So it supports SMB. SMB is nothing but the protocol. This protocol will use to mount the drive. We will see what is mounting and what is the use of mounting, how to do mounting, everything in later part. But as of now, using the SMP protocol, the file share can be mounted. In high level, if you create a file share here, if I mount the particular file share, that will create one separate drive. Like now I am seeing only the C drive, right? If I mount the same file share, it will create one drive. And if I want to access the file share, I can easily use this drive instead of logging to the portal, Azure portal, and navigating to the storage account and file share. I can easily access from my local machine. That is what we call it as a mount. Mount internally uses SMP protocol. Then the third type is Azure Disk Storage. What is disk storage? Like if you buy a virtual machine, we need to buy some disk, whether it is a OS disk or data disk. We need to buy the disk and map the disk into the virtual machines. So that comes under the Azure disk storage. So for example, if you are buying C drive for VM or D drive for VM, also we need to buy this disk storage, and I need to map the storage inside this VM. So key points attached to VM. This is nothing but a drive. We need to attach to the virtual machine, and this will managed by Azure, and high performance options are there. So these are the three different storage type: blob, file, and disk. So the comparison, blob is used for unstructured data. File, this is for file share. For shared folder use cases, we need to choose file share. And disk is nothing but the VM disk. VM disk, we have a two category. One is OS disk and another one is data disk. So these are the three different categories. So where would you store your website images?
Blob storage.
Storage.
Yeah, correct. Network drive. Network
File
drive is
storage.
nothing but a shared file. Correct. Which storage is attached to VM?
Disk.
Disk storage. Yeah. So, in storage, we need to know these two different concepts. One is redundancy and another one is access tiers. This is very important topic. Most of the interviewers ask these questions: what is redundancy and what is access tiers? Why we need the access tiers? Those types of questions we can expect from the interviewer. So we will see what is redundancy and what is access tiers. Give me Advait. Okay. Okay. So in last week, we have learned what is region, what is data center, and what is availability zone, and what is pad region, right? So this topic will this topic is also related to that area. Okay. So why we need a storage redundancy? So first we need to understand what is storage redundancy. So storage redundancy is nothing but the Azure will take multiple copies of your data. Okay. Suppose if you create one storage account, normally whenever you create one resource inside storage account, it will ask the region. I will in the last week I have shown that options. So in that option, in the list of options, region is one of the options. So we need to choose the region. So in that particular region, we have a data center. Inside the data center only, our data will get saved. So based on the redundancy type, we have actually yeah, these are the four redundancy options. So based on the type we chose, the Azure will take copies of different area. For example, if you choose the LRS, this is nothing but a locally redundant storage. Locally redundant storage means the Azure will take a copy. So take a copy and stored inside like within a single data center. So it will take 3 copies, but in same data center. Okay. In same building, we have a different floor or different racks will be there, right? Our copy will not save inside the same server, but in each building or each rack, my copy will get saved. Why 3 copies? If something crash or if some power outage or power issue in particular floor, still I can save my files or data. So this is within the data center only 3 copies will be there. So if something happens in one floor, still my data will be available in other floors. So that is LRS. It locally, it takes a copy. But if the data center itself fails, we cannot save our data. But this is cheapest. We can choose this LRS, locally redundant type, when the data is non-critical data. If the data is very critical, we should not select this option because it takes copies only within the data center. But the cost wise, it is cheapest and good for non-critical data. The disadvantage, the data center, if the data center fails, my data will also get lost. This is locally redundant storage. Okay. Then the second type, this is EZRS. We know what is availability zone, right? So in each region, we will have in most of the region has 3 different availability zone. Not all the cases, but most of the cases we will have multiple availability zone. So in this case also, Azure automatically takes 3 copies but different zone. Within same region, we will have availability. If you have 3 availability zone, in one availability zone, 1 copy will be there. In availability 2, second copy. In third availability, third copy will be there. So if the data center fails, we know this data center is nothing but a building. Availability zone, like we have in each availability zone, we will have a multiple data center or multiple like buildings will be there. And if the data center fails, still my data will be available in another availability zone. That is, in that case, we can opt for EZRS. So advantage, protect against data center failure. Disadvantage, slightly more expensive than LRS. So high availability within region. So within the region, if one data center itself fails, still I can save my data. What happens if the region itself have some issues like disaster, earthquake, or some war kind of situation? What will happen to that region? In this scenario, I need to choose this one, geo redundant storage. We know each region has a pad region. For example, for South India, the pad region is Central India. For Central India, the pad region is South India. So the data copied to another region. So how many copies? 3 in primary region, 3 in pad region. So total 6 copies will be there. So during this situation, disaster or some war kind of situation, natural disaster kind of situation, even that even in that scenario, if I want to save my data, mostly the critical data, banking related things, like uh, those applications are very critical for all the users, right? In that scenario, we need to choose this option, GRS. Even though disaster happens, still my data, I can read my data from another region, pad region. So this is called regional protection. Cons, higher cost. But most of the enterprise application uses GRS. If the data is more complicated data, then we need to go with the GRS. The fourth option is GZRS. What is GZRS? It's a combination of GRS and ZRS zone. So in different zone also, my copy will be there, and inside the pad region also, my data will get Azure will take a copy of my data. So this is most expensive. So this is the comparison. LRS, this is cost wise it is low, but even the DC failures, I cannot, my data will get lost. So that the zone and region. ZRS, so if one data center fails, I can still retrieve my data from another availability zone. ZRS, one like region failure. If the region itself fails, then in the pad region, my copy will be there. GZRS, it's a combination of geo and zone. So this is the redundancy comparison. So LRS, local only, ZRS, zone safe, GRS, geo safe. Geo is nothing but the region. This is the combination. Any question on this redundancy topic? Any doubts, any clarification?
No.
Okay. Okay then. Then we can wind up this today's call. We will continue these topics, other topics tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.